Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me Zero here with.
Rye.
And Fashi V.
It's just the three of us right now. We don't know what's going on with Decade or Drago. All we know is that King couldn't make it. So let's get started. Picking up where our last episode left off, Taga is being rushed into the ER for immediate surgery, and Nico is freaking out at the thought that he could die. Inside the operating room, it becomes apparent that Hiro is the only surgeon they have skilled enough to do the operation. Hiro is at Genom Corp with Masamune, who is disappointed in him for not finishing off Parado. Hiro receives a call from his father, who, if you don't remember, is the director of medicine at the hospital, and tells him to come do Taiga's operation, but Masamune takes his phone and hangs it up. However, at the hospital, Nico doesn't believe that Hiro will show up to do the operation, but Hiro does show up. So, I feel like I should apologize. Because last week I was talking about how, I don't really like how writers have become afraid to kill people off, and how, if this show was written 10 years ago, then, Taiga would have just straight up died. But this episode is all about Taiga's surgery to save his life. This is actually really good. So, I'm glad we got this.
It was done really well too. It's usually by this point it's we don't have that even remotely close to risk of death kind of scenario. It normally anyways. It's but the way it was handled with this episode was, to me, was flawless. If not for one idiosyncrasy that I just thought was hilarious, but that's later. But yeah, this was handled really well, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The Taiga stuff was handled pretty damn well. It's just something else happened in this episode which kind of ticked me off, but otherwise, yeah, really solid story regarding Hiro and Taiga and the operation and stuff.
Masamune decides to take matters into his own hands and goes to challenge Parado and Graphite himself as Kronos. At CR, Dan mentions to Kiria that if Parado dies, they can't get him back and Emma won't be able to use Hyper Muteki. The two of them teleport away. As Kronos is fighting the two bugsters, Graphite uses the Game Deus virus to block his pause ability. Kronos accounted for this and brought a set of power-ups with him to keep fighting with, and manages to gain the upper hand in battle with them. Genom and Laser show up to hold Kronos back so that the bugsters can escape. Kronos fights back and kills Dan, taking another one of his lives, bringing him down to 93, and brags about how no one can oppose him because he's the keeper of lives and that he'll put all the unneeded Kamen Riders out of print. Huh? Is there something wrong?
Vashi, you muted?
Yeah, the keyframe is off. It keeps cycling the buffer.
Okay, you want me to check? One sec.
Yep.
Just technical difficulties for a moment. Or should I keep talking?
Just hold up for a second. Let me just check the YouTube page.
Yeah, because this could just be an issue with my particular device.
Sorry about this, folks. We really shouldn't just have dead air, though. Um,
Right. This is an issue of all of us being in several different locations.
yeah. Uh,
Is
I'm in the
the biggest
northeast
issue.
of the states. That is.
That I'm in the Northeast as well as Zero's. I believe he's in the the really cool apartment over at the party.
Really
Um,
apartment, nice. Yeah, the stream looks okay on the YouTube page.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Zero. Or in an earlier podcast, I asked if you lived in Montreal. That was because I forgot you live in a different time zone.
No, I live in Alberta.
All right. So continuing, Kronos explains that he told Hiro to go do Tiger's operation, but to ensure that it fails, or he'll delete Saki's data. And Kiria teleports away back to the hospital. So, what a fucking asshole. Like, straight up, like, oh, hey, since that guy's on his deathbed anyways, why don't you just go be the one to kill him? I mean, they can't save him without you anyways, but why don't you be the one to do it?
That was such an asshole move, man. I mean, I get that he's supposed to be the bad guy, gets whatever he wants, they manipulating the shit out of Hito, but that's just an evil thing to do. Just yeah, the hell with him. He's no longer useful. Go kill him. That's just kind of brutal. Though I did notice earlier that he had Onk's old metal case just repainted.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get at. I'm like, wow, like it's weird because like you can't call them medals, you can't call them power coins. So like they're what, just the items, but it's straight up the O's booklet or the coin book thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I noticed
But
that it
I'm
was
like,
just Oz's metal container.
yeah, like Bandai couldn't resist, huh? I mean, like it's a cool enough item, so yeah, makes sense.
They probably had the prop lying around and it was useful.
The only thing that doesn't make sense to it, out if not for his specific explanation of it, is there is literally no need for it. You're in a video game, and you're supposed to be, quote unquote, the king of this world. You should be able to make them appear. It's what Perfect Puzzle does. It's literally his entire game mode.
Right, but
So
no, his
if
game
not
mode
for
is
his
weird.
if not for his explanation of I am the master of these, which is apparently he's just the master of everything now.
Well, I mean, technically it's his game company and he has the master gashets, so like technically he owns this game. But the other thing is like perfect puzzle's ability is to rearrange power-ups, and when they're fighting there are no power-ups on that map, so I think like he made it so like whenever they henshin in that area there wouldn't be any power-ups. That's why he brought his own. Like you can rationalize it, but yeah, like technically he should just make his own, but like maybe that would make him way too overpowered, right? Like think about it, the guy has the ability to pause time versus a guy who is invincible. Like if you start giving them power-ups on top of their power-ups, it's just going to be insane.
It's one of those small things that you're sitting on. This wasn't entirely well thought out to start with, was it?
I mean, like the writer can only do so much because they're like they can't really design the writers, right? Because Bandai is like, okay, this is the gimmick, here's the writer, here's his gimmick. So like work this in. That's probably what happens, right? Like because the person writing the show can't design like the belts and the characters' powers. Usually, I don't think they can. I think they
Um,
just kind of have to go with it.
I assume that, like, the lead writer had some say in what the writers are.
I mean, usually I think they get to like decide the characters, but like the thing is like that's not really possible because like Gaim Gaim was supposed to be about fucking birds and ended up being Fruit Ninja. So like they don't
What?
Yeah, yeah. So like their gimmick was supposed to be birds. That's why they have like the armor kind of looks like scale armor, but it could also be feathers and stuff. And then like on their helmets, like you could make it look like beaks and stuff. So their gimmick was down to two things. It was gonna either be bugs again, which fuck, the last time that happened was Kabuto, discounting like stuff like Ghost because his main form is like a firefly. But and then like its actual gimmick was gonna be like bird theme, but then Bandai is like, nah, let's just do this like poll or like search to see what's popular, and what's popular with the kids is fruit, you know? And like that's why is Gaim orange powered? Because that was the most popular fruit.
Uh,
So basically, instead of birds, we ended up with breakdancing, fruit samurai ninja, god,
Li-
Jesus
Like
person.
the thing is the the samurai and the breakdancing, I think were sort of always kind of gonna be there. It's just the fruit got added in.
I thought they were fruit themed just because their plot was about the golden fruit.
No, no.
Wow.
I mean, that could have been anything. You could have just said like any power, but I think it's like what happened is like now your main show is fruit theme, so then like Orobuchi probably just styled it more with like Yggdrasil and all that shit. Probably got put in later because it could just be anything. Because what they are is like Yggdrasil is smart brain. Because what happened with like Orobuchi is like he's like a really big fan of Ryuki, and so he wanted to kind of make Ryuki and take other ideas from early Heisei Rider shows. So like,
Oh yeah, he was ecstatic when he got the position to write a rider show.
yeah, and so like basically Yggdrasil is basically Smart Brain from Fize, and like
A more competent smart brain.
well the thing is like Smart Brain barely plays into the plot of Fize. Like
F-
to be fair, I wanted them to be a little more deadly, but
Fize's
I guess they were okay.
one of Fize's problems is that Lucky Clover are really bad villains.
Okay, see, that's the other thing. I was gonna say he also added Lucky Clover with his, like four thing because Inoue has this habit of making his bad guys a group of four all the time.
But he actually
Like,
made them threatening. Lucky
uh,
Clover was a
well,
joke.
yeah, I mean they're like Checkmate 4 in Kiva is fucking intense because like one of them show up and like they can just wreck everyone. So like if you ever somehow like it never happens like all four of them never fight together, but like shit, even just two of them could pretty much kill everyone. So like Lucky Clover is kind of underpowered because they got overused, but like Checkmate 4 is fucking devastating. Um, but like yeah, the group of four bad guys in like Gaim, yeah, it's sort of a reference to that. So it's like it took Ryuki and threw in like a lot of Fi's ideas, and some of it worked, most of it is kind of meh.
I liked it.
I don't know. I thought it didn't live up to its potential. That's my biggest problem.
I like the crap out of it.
All right. I guess I mean like it's more like my problem with watching Gaim is like you could do so much smarter and so much better, and you're just settling for this. That's basically my problem with like Gaim. It's like you could go so much further and tell better stories, but you're doing generic writer.
They
You know?
abolished the Monster of the Week gimmick, though.
Yeah, but like everything else, like oh, why is like the plans don't make sense, or at least like the escalation. It's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm gathering data. I'm like, that is the bullshit. That's such a bullshit plot line because it doesn't mean anything. Like he goes throughout the entire show and the movies with, I'm just gathering data. I'm like, what the fuck kind of like you could have had an amazing arc right here about like why like the guys in charge are just corrupt adults and they're messing up the next generation, and you refuse to do it. And that's sort of my problem. It's like, oh my god, like I could see an amazing storyline right here, and you're just going in the opposite direction. And that's sort of what pissed me off with Gaim.
In
Anyway,
fairness, the first arc of Ex-Aid was just Dan getting data.
yeah, but the thing is, Dan didn't have a plot set up where if you took it another way, it would have been like parallel. Like the problem is Gaim set up with like the main character is like, hey, I'm this new just kid turning into an adult, going into this world, and what does that mean? And it's like society is corrupt and fucked up, and it's messing up the next generation. And what does that mean? Well, it means they're just evil assholes. I'm like, that's bullshit. Like you didn't even try, man. Like basically, Melon Lord should have fucking had Nago's arc from Kiva, right? Like it's so simple. I was like, what the fuck? You didn't even try, man. Like they're good enough bad guys for a writer show, but like this show could have been so much better than just generic writer show. And like, yeah, as you're saying, Dan was just gathering data, but I'm like, Dan's whole plan is just gathering data, whereas like the Yggdrasil guys go on and on about like, oh, we're gonna make humanity better after the fall and all this shit, and like, I'm like, you can have that philosophy, but show like why when the good guys beat them, that these guys, have their heads stuck up their ass. That's why they fell. Like it should have been a battle of ideology where it was just a battle of, hey, I have fancy fruit armor versus your fancy fruit armor. Like, yeah, I can kind of get why Ex-Aid is sort of just simple like that, but I'm like, Ex-Aid's not trying to tell like this deep thematic narrative. Hi, Decade.
Oh, continue.
I guess we got off track, for people to show up.
You got here just in time for Zero to finish wrapping up complaining about Gaim.
Okay,
Perfect.
to be fair, I'm so sick of fucking talking about Gaim.
You're
But,
the
like,
one that kept going!
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I just wanted it to be known because it's not like, oh, you hate Gaim, and I'm like, it's not because it didn't do a good enough job, but my point is, it just did generic writer, where it could have been so much better. And people go on and on about like, it's this great writer show. I'm like, it's not. It's fucking
I
generic
Don't
writer.
think it's generic.
What is amazing about it? Like, okay, cool. It's got fancy set dressing and an okay backstory. What's amazing about it? No. Sell me. Ryan, you go.
I will sell it to you on a different podcast because we should actually be
come on,
talking
man.
about Ex-Aid.
Look, this is gonna be a really short one. Okay, fine. But here's the thing: like, I could sell you any of the shows I like in like under 5 minutes. Gaim, I can't. It's not good enough. Whatever. Okay, I'm being like super negative, but to be honest, like I don't
Well,
give a
look,
shit about.
You don't like
Gaim.
Gaim, and
basically
that's fine.
no. Yeah, my biggest problem was like it's not even bad enough to give a shit about. In my, that's its biggest problem. That's why I keep saying it's generico writer. Like, eh, whatever. Vashi, you got anything to stop my hate train?
Hey, how about Ex-Aid?
Oh come on! I'm giving you
Zero.
room.
Honestly, it's
I'm giving you room for you guys to, like, say your piece of like countering me, and you
No,
guys are just
here's
like,
the
"Oh,
thing.
let's move on."
like
That's not a good
we
counter.
we do have counters, but this isn't a Gaim podcast. We're trying to get back on track here.
Oh, fine. Whatever, man.
like like in of itself is like I love the crap out of Gaim. It's one of the first series that I actually fell in love with. But as for making points, we'd be here for 2 hours while I make
Like-
points.
Key Ranger isn't airing next week. Why don't we do a Gaim cast then?
Fuck that. I mean, I'm not doing an extra episode on Cat. Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
fine. We'll get on Ex-Aid. I'll just say my like last bit. Like, yeah, I don't hate it like as much as I did when I first saw it. But for me, like, I don't see what's great about it. That's my biggest problem. And let's go back on Ex-Aid.
Okay, so decade. We've gone over how they rushed Taiga to the emergency room for his surgery, and how Hiro is the one that needs to do it, and how he showed up to do it. And then Masamune reveals that he told Hiro to go and do it just to kill him. So we're up to there. Do you have anything on that?
I think it's kind of funny that, I mean, I guess this is kind of his one weakness, Masamune's, is that he actually trusts people. I mean, dude, Laser just trolled you, and you think that Hero's gonna be loyal to you and totally throw away everything. And another big mistake was uh, not showing Saki with consciousness, because at this point she's it's kind of gotten old, the whole become a great doctor thing. And if anything, that probably helped Hiro make a decision, because literally his girlfriend's last words were become a great doctor. So what, he's just gonna become a horrible doctor just to have her again? I mean, yeah, Masamune really screwed up this time.
Like, and that makes sense. The I think the only reason why he thought he had, the one up over Hito was the fact that, unlike Laser, he had leverage on Hito, and that was, his girlfriend. So I think that would be the only reason why he would expect Hiro to go along with it, rather than just go, basically have Hiro, screw the pooch and just do what he was going to do, anyways, and be a good guy. Because up until now, Hiro's not shown the most motivation and trustworthiness to getting the job done for Masamune. So yeah, it's one of those. I get why he thought it, but at the same time, it was kind of dumb. Because he's literally had to threaten Hiro like 4 or 5 times with killing off his girlfriend, and Hiro still hasn't done the job.
Okay, so moving on. At the hospital, Kiryu lays Masamune's plan to have Hiro intentionally kill Taiga in the surgery. Nico begins freaking the fuck out and tries to stop the operation, but Poppy holds her back. Hearing the commotion inside the operating room, Emu goes to investigate. Nico just starts shouting that Hiro is going to kill Taiga, but no one in the room, stops the operation. They just all believe that Hiro isn't going to do that. Emu eventually gets Nico to stop screaming so much, and then leaves. And we get a shot of Hiro just thinking about all of his interactions with Taiga throughout the series. It's actually like a really good moment there. Especially since some of it leads up to the idea of would Taiga actually be okay with Hiro killing him right here to save Saki?
Do you want to go, Decade?
Um, I mean, points for Nico's actress. She's kind of been playing like just two different roles most of the time, and now that she's actually in a serious situation, it's nice to see that side of her. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
But yeah, it's because for the most part, we've either seen her be, more or less more or less slapsticky, in terms of behavior, or just like angry, furious, video game mode. So seeing her in a position where she's literally cares about what's going on, in this case, whether or not Taiga will be okay, it's it's showing a lot more depth for her character beyond just the, oh, he's my doctor and we're trying to complete these games. It's showing why Taiga's let her take over his office the way she did, and that level of depth of caring that they have for each other. In this case, Nico towards Taiga, it it was really well done, because like the Kate said, it's like we haven't really had a chance to explore this with her actress this series so far yet, and it it was nailed completely. So yeah, good job.
Zero. If you don't have anything to say about this section, do you want to respond to the comment in the chat box?
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much said everything I was gonna say on this anyway. But yeah. So like, yeah, people are saying like about what I was talking about. No, I said I could sell you on my favorite shows in under 5 minutes to these guys. Not like I was. I wasn't trying to sell you on Gaim in under 5 minutes. Um, but like, could I sell it? Yeah, but like these guys are super focused on X8, so let's not waste time on that.
Sorry if us wanting to stick to the script is getting in your way. I'm just kidding.
It's gonna be like a 30-minute episode where we usually go like an hour, right? I tried to pad it out to give you guys some talking points, but oh no, yeah, whatever.
We can do that at the end of the podcast, at the end of the episode.
Fine, let's just keep going.
Alright, so we go back to where Dan is still fighting Kronos. He is now down to 70 lives when Emu shows up to take over. Emu challenges Kronos for Saki's save data, but Kronos threatens to delete it if Emu transforms. And he begins reveling in the idea that he's untouchable and that Hiro will experience killing a patient. Emu has the perfect line here. You call yourself a human? At the hospital, the surgery is done. Hiro leaves without saying a word. He makes his way to where Emu and Masamune are. Hiro reveals that he did everything to save Taiga's life, and asks for Emu's forgiveness for his betrayal. Masamune deletes Saki's save data. Emu and Hiro henshin together and team up against Kronos, overpowering him. He desperately creates a cloud of smoke so he can escape. Hiro asks Emu to go on without him, and Emu says that he'll see him back at CR. A storm quickly rolls in, and Hiro again grieves for the loss of Saki. The emotion in this scene is incredible because Hiro's actor really sells it. I'm pretty sure he's underpaid. He's finally decided, like, I've been used too much by this guy. Now he's asking too much of me. I can't keep doing this. I just need to let her go. But now he has to deal with she basically died again on him.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the storm thing is a bit unnecessary. But yeah, awesome acting and yeah, pretty heavy scene.
I think think what sells Hiro's emotion in this episode or with these scenes is not only did he was he forced to watch her die again, but he was forced to be able to do nothing to save her, which is why he hates himself to begin with in terms of her death the first time, because he wasn't there to help her, to protect her, or anything else like that. That's why he it was so eager to follow this plan to get her back. And for him to basically go, you know what, I just have to do this again because this is getting out of hand. He's like, he was being asked to do things that he could not do and keep the promise of being the best doctor in the world, because they were clashing with each other. Like, so he was forced to literally let her die because of him a second time. And just his actor, just he plays that heart wrenching, painful, just perfectly well. These are the scenes that have really sold me on this cast and the acting direction for this series, because every single one of these scenes, and there's been quite a few of them, have just been expertly done. Like the acting directions and all that, it's been top notch for pretty much consistently for this entire series, which number one is unprecedented. I've never seen a series that's done this level of dedication to the, you know, making you feel what the characters feel the way that this series has. And for me, that's phenomenal. And it's one of the reasons why I really love this series, is because the level of commitment that the actors have, that the acting directors and everybody else involved with, you know, bringing these scenes to life, is just phenomenal. And of course, you know, it had to rain again, because apparently we can't do one of these episodes of somebody dying without rain, apparently.
Yeah, I guess so. Um, yeah, again, like Hero's actor is pretty good. Like all the actors are pretty good. This cast is solid, man, which is pretty nice. Um, Also, Dan blew like 20 plus lives. I'm a little impressed that he was willing to go through that shit. Um, just to stall him. But as for me, like, yeah, as good as this was, like, something happened in this episode which pissed me off. And so I was like, all right, you guys are acting really well. This is shot decently. It's just to get to this point, you people had to act like a bunch of complete idiots. And I was like, this is fucking stupid. Right? Because it's like, oh shit, Kronos is gonna kill Saki, and it's like Emu shows up. I'm like, all right, well technically Emu can stop him. It's like if you hunch in, I kill her. I'm like, you fucking dumbass. Like you couldn't just fucking henshin off screen and rush in. Like you couldn't, like when Kronos was monologuing, you couldn't just have Laser fucking teleport in and take the his damn bug visor away. Like come on, man. Like it's such bullshit. Like yeah, it makes sense because like Laser is not there, and you know Emu's kind of an idiot because like he shows up and then henshins, unlike fucking Taiga, who's smart enough to just fucking henshin and show up. Um, but yeah, like it was unnecessary. Like this could have been prevented. It's not one of those like yeah, it's a really sad moment, or at least it would have been if it wasn't so fucking preventable. Um, and then as for like Saki's actress, I feel super bad because I'm like, right, she barely says anything in episode 0, and like she's just been like a fucking parrot this whole damn series. Like I get it, like this would have worked as some sort of like, you know, vocal monologue, or like if you just heard the audio, or if this was like an anime or something and you would just see that scene, it would have worked. In live action it just goes like, fuck, this is awkward and such a waste of a character. Like Yeah, I'm kind of impressed that they dedicated like this whole character to carrying this bit through, but I'm like, I feel really bad for the actress because like she's probably not gonna come back. I mean, like, there's a chance she might, but she's probably not gonna come back. Uh, it just seems kind of a waste. Otherwise, like, decent episode, but like, it didn't have to end like this. You know, it really didn't. Fucking dumb.
I still think that Hero's betrayal in the first place doesn't really make any sense. But we
Well,
still got some good stuff out of it. So I'm willing to forgive
see,
it.
that's fine. The problem is, like, everybody is on the same side of, hey, let's go save Saki. And I'm like, you didn't call anybody for backup Emu? Like, Laser was right there. Fucking Dan lost like 20 lives stalling him. You couldn't just say Laser, hey, come on, back me up. Like, come on. This is the type of shit Laser would think of, too. Or like Peridot wasn't there. Like, this would have been the perfect time to go and team up with Peridot. It's like, oh no, we can't do that. We're gonna have to fight him next episode because fucking Nico gets infected. Because, like, I don't know what the fuck happened to the show, but the like last couple episodes, like last episode and this episode and the next episode, it looks like it turned into fucking generic writer. Like, I like Inoue's writing stuff, but this has turned into like generic Inoue plot lines, and I'm like, that's usually when he's like phoning it in, and this is like one of those like phoned in plot lines from Fies, and I'm like, I'm not impressed because the show is better than this.
I do completely agree that Kirio was right there. Why wouldn't Emu say, hey, come with me?
And as Drago pointed out in the chat, that Poppy was doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too. I'm like, shit, she did nothing this whole episode. She would have, like, she didn't even freaking tell Nico to stay quiet properly. She could have done one thing, you know? Like, it also would have made so much sense with, like, the next episode when Peridot's all like, oh, I wasn't originally to kill humans and shit like that. And I'm like, yeah, you could have had a Bugster saving a human life, you know, if Poppy saved Saki this episode, but we can't go down that road. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this isn't Ghost levels of, like, you know, fumbling the ball at the end, but like, it's starting to crumble. It's been solid so far, and like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but it better pick it, better get its shit back on track soon. Or otherwise, the show's gonna end up feeling kind of little lackluster by the end, which I don't want because it's been solid so far.
I blame Muteki.
Like, even if we took Muteki out of the picture, if he just had level 99, it would have still had the same thing because like okay, maybe they should have just shot the scene better where like when Kronos is monologuing, like, or not Kronos, Masamune is fucking monologuing, and he has an henshin, he has the Buggle Driver just in his hand, and he's just blasting, you know, he's just running his mouth, and I'm like, fucking anybody could take this thing away, just shoot it out of his hand, like, fuck, Nico could have done something, Poppy, like Laser, like anyone. This is dumb. Like, it's kind of that Blade problem where like there's this really good episode of Blade where it's like Blade basically saves this girl and she kind of like fakes him out and says like she's more injured than she really is just so like, you know, Blade would protect her and stuff. And it has this like awesome moments for Blade. It's just the way they shot the actress, and like her point of views kind of make sense for the storyline, but like the way that they shot the scenes make her so much more selfish than if they just did a couple reshoots, and that's the same problem here. It's like if Masamune was Kronos when he was doing all this shit, it would have been fine because then you're like, okay, nobody can do anything. Because like if they did, he would just pause and fucking kill Saki anyway, right? But he's not. He's just monologuing out of suit, and it's like, what the fuck? So dumb. I mean, I get it. You're trying to go like, Masamune is the one human who's like irredeemable and all that shit. So you kind of have to have him out of suit, but it just doesn't work It doesn't feel right. And not for like the oh shit, I really hate this guy. In the oh shit, what the fuck are you idiots doing? Like, come on, can you try harder here? Like, what did you lose all your brain cells or something? It's like it's stupid. And also that like whole emu line of like, are you even human? Right? Or you call yourself a human? I'm like, that's such a Kamen Rider fucking wizard line, and like it's as much of a mess as like Wizard and Gremlin's rivalry was, because you're like, wait, what? This guy is supposed to be the ultimate rival. Like thematically, it makes sense, but it doesn't quite work in the show. At least their time, I mean, like fight when like Haruto says to like Sora, like you're not even human anymore, right? Makes so much more sense than this. This is just like, oh no, I'm an evil asshole. Like, what the fuck? So stupid.
Uh, oh, did you have something to say, Vashi?
Uh, Drago says in the stream chat, corporate greed is irredeemable. That's the message.
Yeah, that would have been fine, but like, it doesn't make sense because like, fucking Emu, Laser, and Poppy show up to steal the fucking like take back the Gashat from him, right? Like we already had this fight and they won the last time. You know, like it doesn't make sense why this time when it's even more critical they just like fucking Emu will handle it. Like that's so dumb. And you could have said like, okay, well Emu showed up without saying anything. I'm like, Laser and Poppy should know Emu enough to know what he's gonna try to do at this point. Like, come on. That would have shown like how close they know. Like, it would have shown that they really are the secondary writers of Emu, because you know they know him best. And like, see, this is the problem. What I'm saying is like, this is what I felt during Gaib, where it's like, yeah, they would do a plot line, and then I'm like, okay, you did a plot line, but like you could have done so much better. And this is kind of how I felt throughout Gaib.
King Skullboom keeps calling everybody lazy flunkies. I kind of agree.
Yeah, I kind of agree at this point too. That's my problem. Is like they used to be like genius surgeon or like tactical, like half dead doctor dude or like genius gamer M, and now or like crazy liar laser, and now they're just like, okay, we work together, and like suddenly like they dropped like 20 points in like intelligence or something. Like what the fuck happened?
Like I kind of get why Dan didn't go back and help because
Well, I mean, he lost 20 lives.
he
Like
lost 20 lives, and
Dan's the like I have a little bit more respect for Dan now because he blew like 20 lives trying to freaking stall Kronos.
apparently that takes crap out of him
Well,
because
yeah,
when he popped back on live 70, he was like ready to keel over again.
I mean, like getting beat up like yeah, that is weird because this is a bugster. She needs
Exactly,
reset.
it should be a reset, but
See,
like,
here's the
laser
thing. It could also-
laser and everybody else, it doesn't make sense. I mean, because especially laser, he was literally in the same room.
yeah,
Same thing with
Like-
Poppy when this was decided.
yeah. Here's the thing. Like it could just be. That's the other thing with Dan. Like yeah, like why is he winded? That's one of the other like it could be like intentional, like oh this isn't a perfect system, it drains him, or it could just be fucking lazy scene. I mean directing where it's like oh you took a beating, act tired, but like literally he should be like refreshed every time. So like that's the whole problem with this episode is like yeah it makes sense in a okay writer plot way, but it doesn't make sense for Ex-Aid. Like, okay, fine. This is a shitty episode or whatever, or not as great as it could be. But like, ah man, this better not be like a sign that this like the writer is running out of steam or something. Because like, there's been like one guy writing this entire show. Like even there's only very few writers who've ever done that, and like they all sort of run into like different problems, where it's like, okay, Fies is written by like Inoue, but it's got massive pacing problem. And like Gaim is mostly written by Urabuchi, but he had like secondaries, and then he had to add in a lot of filler stuff. I mean, like he didn't write the filler episodes and like tie-ins and stuff, but still, like problems. But like this is a whole different thing of like one guy writing the whole thing, and like it's kind of going to the point of like I've set everything up, therefore it should like sustain for the last like remaining 10 episodes, but I'm like it's not. Like you like if Kronos didn't have the power of pause, like there is no reason Masamune should escape. Like okay, he has pause, so I can let it go. I had to like sit and think about that for a second to be like, all right, that's how you could escape, because otherwise it would have been another fucking lazy writing choice. And I'm like as much as like people bash Coast, like Coast was okay. It's just like its last act was terrible, and like I don't want that to happen to Ex-Aid, because then people will remember Ex-Aid as that like mediocre show. Because like people usually remember how a show ends more than like the rest of the show. Like as for like it's the same thing with Blade. Like Blade is decent, but its ending is amazing, and that's why like everybody who watches Blade thinks it's fucking great. Like I like Blade, but like if you rewatch it and stuff, you can see where it's not as solid. Like in the
Yeah, like
beginning
the
part.
first 15 episodes.
No, I mean like the first time watching the first, yeah, rewatching it. But like the
Oh
first
no,
time I watched,
this is the first time I've watched it. I hate the first 15 episodes.
see the
Tachibana
thing
is a
is like
bitch.
what? Sorry, repeat that.
Tachibana is a bitch.
Okay, see, yeah, I guess this might be a problem because like Tachibana was like my favorite character in Blade, so like to me it's like it's fine.
Tachibana
He is
became really good
um
after that first arc.
yeah. There's that first arc where he is literally a crybaby.
Well, to be fair, like he thinks he's gonna drop dead anytime soon.
My problem with it is that we are introduced to him and he's already in this state. If we had seen
Yeah,
him
because
at his best first and then slowly becoming this, it would have been better.
I mean we did see his best in the first like beginning part where it's like in the zone, but
It
like
wasn't enough.
I guess, but my like it's one of those weird things where it's like I guess it just depends on like how much backstory you need for like a decent character. For me, like as you see, like as you learn more about Tachibana's past, it makes more sense why he was the way he was. Because like Blade to him, like he was chosen because this was his job. Like he would be the best person to be Blade. Whereas like
Down. Okay, it reconnected. We should be up in a second.
And stream status is good.
Okay. Sorry, we were down for like 10 seconds.
yeah, I guess I'll just finish the Tachibana stuff quick. Like Tachibana's makes sense because of the character he is, but the problem, I mean, like I guess the problem is you guys wanted like his backstory up front, whereas like the show kind of gives his backstory throughout the show. So it's more like depending on like how into the character you are, you might find that like I like Tachibana. I have a problem with that crap. What like also originally when I saw Blade, like I was like, holy shit, they set up a mystery and then they like immediately like solve it and stuff. I'm like, wow, this is like stuff like superhero shows are doing now, right? Like writer usually let the plot just like go on for like arcs at a time. But the problem is like, so that's my thing with Blade is like I like early Blade, like really early Blade, and then I like late Blade, but like the middle, like uh, like 2/5 and 3/5, like in the show, it's kind of a mess. But like different people find different parts of Blade like weird. and so that's its problem. Like, yeah, but the point is like usually how a show ends is how people remember it, and so like Blade ends amazing, and people remember that.
Yeah,
Um,
I hear
and then
that.
like and and it's sort of the Kamen Rider Black problem also. Like it's so overhyped, and when you watch it, like it's not bad, but it's got a couple really good episodes. It's got a hell of a lot of mediocre episodes, and its last arc is really good. And so people just remember it being fucking amazing. And like, if you really rewatch it, it's okay. Um, like to be fair, he was kind of at the edge. Like, basically, basically, Tachibana's arc is considering what Tank Skaboom said. Um, like, did he really need this baby bottle during the first time? Okay, the whole point of
Okay,
making
so he
Tachibana,
was addicted to a drug that made him more
yeah, yeah, yeah,
confident.
that's what I'm saying. Like, the reason to get make Tachibana's character that broken and like needy is to showcase like how people can even turn to drugs, and that's why they kind of had to make him broken. So like, yeah, he sounds whiny, but that's sort of what sets up the whole arc of him needing the fucking magic seaweed and then like getting off the magic seaweed. Um, yeah, Blade is weird. Like the point is, Blade gets better later on either way, but then again, like it had a writer shift. Like an entire different writer wrote like the second half of Blade, sorta, or like head writer or something. So like that's why it sort of has like setup, and like 2/3 of the way through, and it's like all setups done. Now it's just like, what are you gonna do with all the pieces? You know. So like Blade's a weird writer show, but it's really good. Or at least it ends really well.
So, if we're ready to move on to the last scene in this episode of Ex-Aid, uh, inside Taiga's hospital room, he wakes up from his surgery, and everyone except Dan is there. Hiro apologizes to Taiga for all the disrespect he's given him, but Taiga says he's the one that should be apologizing, and points out that Hiro saved his life. And then Kiria gets a good laugh at Hiro's embarrassment. Episode end. I feel like it's been a while since we ended an episode on a more positive note. I feel like have all the episodes recently just be on like really sad or depressing cliffhangers?
It's been that or the oh no, somebody switched sides.
Hmm. Uh,
Yeah, it's not that depressing. Saki only died, but she wasn't that important character. Like that's what it felt like. I'm like,
to be
okay,
honest, I was shocked that the episode didn't end with Hiro crying in the rain.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, this is a nice scene, but like it shouldn't be here, or at least
Like
it shouldn't be this close to like Hero's scene.
hell, honestly, it felt like this could have been the start of the next episode.
Right? Because we
Just leave it off the cliffhanger. The surgery's done, and then then we get the whole oh, he really did save his life, and look, Taiga's fine at the start of the next episode. It would have given that time for the audience to kind of not so much stew, because we knew that Hiro completed the surgery. It's just whether or not the surgery was a success, because there was still a chance that it could fail even with Hiro doing it.
and we awkwardly go from Hiro crying in the rain to okay, so now he's at the hospital. And that's literally like the transition.
Yeah, and it's weird too because it looks like he's crying in the rain at night.
Well,
And
that's
then, like,
just
he
because of
cuts
the
to the
dark clouds.
Yeah. But then it cuts to like the hospital and it's like afternoon. I'm like, is this the next day or what? Or otherwise, like, yeah, it's so weird. I mean, like, I can kind of get why they didn't put it in the next episode because it's supposed to be all like Nico focused or something. But I'm like there had to be a better solution than putting it like, or what they should have done is they should have done this scene and then you see just Hero walk off and then had his scene in the rain. It would have made so much more sense than like the way they did it. It's just weird fucking editing.
I did like though that we have Nico kind of acting like the older sister type to Taiga, like, "Hey, put your oxygen mask on properly." I'm glad that we got a little something there, even if it was just in the background.
Did she say something like, "If you die, I'll kick your corpse" or something when he
Yeah,
was
at the
done?
very beginning, she's like, "Yeah, if you die, I'll kick your ass."
That was great. I'm like, that's totally what she would say too. It's like, it's nice to see their character. It's like, I don't know, man. Like this episode really feels uneven. Like it's not a bad episode. It's just not a good episode. You know, like it's good enough, but it's not up to the level like it should be.
I feel that it's kind of how we were feeling about a couple episodes of Q Ranger, but I do think that it'll improve. I have a good feeling about next episode. Hopefully, that feeling isn't betrayed, but
Yeah, I agree because that feeling could easily be betrayed really quickly. Um, like I think what made this episode seem so off is it's the same. To me, it was the same issue as like the Christmas episode. It had such a jarring shift from tone, even if it was just that last scene. For me, it went from for the Christmas episode, it went from hey, happy go lucky Christmas to oh my god, somebody's dead.
I mean,
In this,
the
whereas this
Christmas
one, it
episode.
did it to
Yeah,
me with this one, it did it in reverse, but just in a really smaller time frame in terms of how much they focused on the everything's all good.
yeah. I mean, like the Christmas episode had a purpose because it's like, oh, it's a Christmas episode. You don't expect bad shit to happen, so we're gonna front load it with like the most like non-threatening shit possible, so you never see what's gonna happen. I'm like, all right, that's a little like emotionally manipulative, but I'm like, it works. It's a good writing technique. As for this is just like, was this the best you could do editing wise? Like the Christmas episode, I can see the reasoning behind it, whereas this is like, why did you arrange these scenes like this?
The Christmas
Like
episode
they
felt
had,
like two episodes, two 11-minute episodes spliced together.
yeah, pretty much. But the thing is, like, it sort of had that purpose where it's like it's one part is hiding what's gonna happen in the other part, whereas this, like, the tonal shift has no purpose, right? Like that Taiga scene was like, oh, we're all friends now. Isn't it great? I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It had no purpose in this scene in this episode. Like, I don't know, man. I get what they're doing. It's like, okay, everybody's on the same side now. We know who the villain is. Like, shit's good with the world. But I'm like, cool. We didn't need that this episode, right? Like, didn't somebody die? Shouldn't we give them like a minute?
More than just the 10 seconds in the rain.
Yeah. I mean, like, I really wish like we got to see more of Saki because it's like, okay, Hiro was a jerk to her. He feels bad, and then she died twice, and it's like that sucks. But like, come on, could we have a little bit more here, like character wise? Like if we had like one episode to know her, like it's that Ryuki thing of like Ren's fighting super hard for his girlfriend in Ryuki, right? And like we barely get to see stuff with her except for one episode and a couple flashbacks, but they do the job. Like Saki, we barely get to see anything. So it's all we know is like she's important to Hero, but like she's not a character by herself. Whereas like Ren's girlfriend, I should
Airy.
remember her name. Yeah,
Airy.
her. Like she definitely like her character with those few like flashbacks and like that episode where she wakes up and stuff.
So, final thoughts on the episode. This was a really good episode, I felt. Yeah, it did have a few things that could have been done better, but I don't think that those ruined the episode. This episode was amazing.
Um, yeah, I did enjoy it a lot. I mean, if you kind of don't focus on the little things and just more focus on Nico and Hiro, yeah, I think most people are getting a bit sick of Kronos, and his character isn't too amazing compared to some other villains like Crazy Kuroto Dan. But yeah, it was a fun episode.
Like I agree with the Kate. It was a good episode. There are a few things that can be overlooked. To, you know, that if overlooked doesn't bog down the episode, makes it still feel amazing. And overall, I really liked it, and I'm really eager to see next week's episode.
Okay, I guess I'm just gonna combo break this and like it's like a 7 out of 10. So it's like it's an okay episode. It's not great.
A 7 out
Um,
of 10 is a really good review.
okay, okay. Like if a 5 is passable, right? Like this is just like okay, it did better than passable, and it did some good shit.
Like, I
That's a
consider
7.
5 and 6 to be like mediocre territory. If you made it to a 7, you made something worth it.
Yeah, right. I don't have escalating scale. Mine is like 5. You did okay, and then it's like you go lower than 5, you fucked up. And how badly did you fuck up? And like higher is like okay, how much better than basic did you do? So that's my scaling. Whereas like a 7 is like all right, you did a decent enough job. Um, like it's definitely not a great episode. Like it's got too many problems for me to fully like it. As for like next episode, like oh man, that preview. I'm not like I hope it's better than that preview is making it look because it makes it look really stupid. And I don't want it to be. As for like Kronos, like when he first shows up, I'm like, oh man, this guy could be the final boss. That'd be interesting. But by this point, I'm like, Game DS better show up or something because like Kronos, I don't think can sustain another 10 episodes.
Well, lucky for you, it seems like the next episode they're going to start pushing back to the we need to complete Kamen Rider Chronicle arc. So it seems like they're going to be trying to finish that off and actually have Game Days appear.
Yeah, but they're doing it in a really dumbass way. It's like, okay, I get they had to make Emu fight Peridot, but like just having like Nico be infected and therefore we must fight is such a bullshit reason. Like it doesn't make sense at this point.
It, it makes sense, it's just unnecessary
Yeah,
because they were going to fight anyways.
Right, like if you made him the final boss or something, I'd be like, okay, fine. We're just gonna do wizard where it's like graphite or not graphite. Gremlin just shows up after the final boss and we fight. I'm like, cool. It'll make more sense than it did in wizard. That would have been fine with Peridot and Ex-Aid. But here, like, we're just fighting Peridot now. It's like, what the fuck? Like, like Cronus has been trying to kill like Emu or Peridot for like a couple
Well,
episodes, and now
this
Emu's
is
just
his.
gonna do it.
Well, this is his plan. Masamune infects Nico with Game Day's virus, and the only way to make Game Day appear is to defeat all the bugsters. Ergo, Ex-Aid and Paradox now have to fight. One of them has to be defeated.
See, that makes even less sense because like, how, like, okay, he needs the bugsters because like he has to keep this fucking Kamen Rider Chronicles.
He doesn't need all the bugsters.
There's two left.
No, all the grunts are still there. We just stopped paying attention to them.
Okay. Yeah, but the problem is like they already have their gashets, except for
No,
one guy.
Nico has them. No one else. You can get more than one. That's the whole point of the game. It's an MMO.
Yeah, that's fine, but like as soon as they defeat these two, his game ends. Unless his solution is
his
to,
solution is that
Game Base will wipe out all the writers.
well,
because
his
that
solution is that once Paradox is defeated, Emu can't use Hyper Muteki, and so he becomes untouchable again. That is his thought process here.
Okay, that's really dumb because like
He's becoming
Graphite's-
desperate.
yeah, I guess, but it's really stupid because like Graphite's been infected his driver twice with the stupid virus. Like, doesn't make any sense.
Well,
I mean, like,
okay,
it makes
we
sense, but
saw
it's
in
really
this
lazy.
episode Kronos use power-ups to defeat both Graphite and Paradox. Decade had to leave. He didn't have time to say goodbye.
All right. I guess we'll just talk about next episode. Yeah, I think I've said everything I had about this episode. See you guys next week.
See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday for the Ex-Aid podcast because there will not be a Q Ranger episode next week, so we will not have a podcast for it on Tuesday. So see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you for joining.